everybody, welcome back to Holly's Halloween, 30 days of Halloween fun and spookiness and anything combined. Today we are going to be doing a countdown, and a very specific countdown on Buffy the Vampire Slayer top 20 episodes for me personally. And just a disclaimer before I get straight on into it, I find if you haven't seen the show, I recommend probably not watching this, because I find it would be hard to talk about what's happening in the episodes if you haven't seen it, and I wouldn't want to spoil it for you because it's such an amazing show and very shocking things happen throughout it. So if you haven't seen any episodes, I think it'd be best if I stay away from this video, because honestly I would not want to spoil anything for you. And if you have seen the show, you know how much of an amazing show this is. It was like the epitome of 90s shows. It was one of the classics, I would say, that came out in the 90s, and I say it's still talked about today. I don't know if you saw my previous video where I did makeup for Buffy, which is this look back here, and I was talking about in that episode how it's so amazing to see such an empowering woman, such an amazing role model. And especially I would say around the 90s it was very limited. Now we have an amazing Supergirl, we have Jessica Jones, we have such amazing role models for young girls to look up to, and honestly I feel like Buffy is an original. She is such an amazing lady. I would love if they brought the show back, but I know it's never a possibility now. I feel like if it's not broke, don't fix it, and they made such an awesome show. And honestly, I'll show you how much I love when I explain the episodes, and I would love to know what your favourite episodes are down below. I would honestly love to converse with you. I could talk about Buffy all day, every day. And yes, I'm going to go down my top 20. These aren't really in specific, what's the word, order per se. It's not like I love this one before this one. Honestly, I love them all equally. Maybe one or two which shall explain a bit more, but because of how it made me feel. But this is honestly just pure person's opinion. Some people might not like it, some people may like it. So honestly, it's just a fun video and talking about a show that was so amazing. So for my number 20, I have Helpless. This was in season 3, episode 20. So basically, if you might remember this episode, Buffy, within this test, she is unknown to it at the time, but she is being injected with a vial that makes her technically powerless. She has no strength whatsoever, and apparently your main watcher is meant to give you this without you knowing. She does find out it is Giles that's done it, and it's a whole big betrayal there. But basically the Watcher Council store a vampire and then make him ravenous and focused on Buffy, a bit like an assassin of sorts, to go straight for Buffy. And with her being powerless, it's like the most amazing episode to see if she is able to overcome it without having the powers which she normally does have. And he ends up taking her mum, poor Joyce, and she has to go into this abandoned mansion of sorts, and it's such an amazing cat and mouse chase within that as well. I absolutely adored it. And the guy that was the vampire, it was an absolute Fruit Loop, absolutely loopy. We then have episode 19, which is Witch. This was in season 1, episode 3. This had a very Mean Girls feel, I feel, for me, because basically kooky things are happening while Buffy trains to be a cheerleader. She didn't think she would want to, but then going into it, there was something she needed to face, and she believed it was one of the either cheer captains, cheer girls' mother, but it ended up to be her. And it was very fun episodes, I feel, because it kind of reminded me of being back at high school, the tribulations of friends, betrayals. Yeah, I absolutely love that episode, and Xander is at his best when it comes to his little comments on the side. We then have number 18 is Prophecy Girl, which is season 1 episode 20, the finale of season 1. The reason why I put this in there because it's very, very influential. Like, I feel when they finish a season they try and go out with a bang, and this one was specifically a huge bang because you didn't know if she was going to make it through this time. I think that's another reason. You never know with this show. You never know who might die. It was very like Game of Thrones of that time. You don't know who's going to die, what's going to happen, is someone going to go? You never know. And with her going against the Master, which is a very, very old vampire, very, very strong, it was, yes baby, come in angel. We then have number 17, which is Go Fish. This was his season 2 episode 20. Another one that was just like a fun episode, and it also has a very young fellow from Prison Break in it. I want to say Wentworth Miller, but I'm not sure if I'm right with saying that. And basically Xander, instead of the cheer team, he's joining a swimming team, and the coach within it is popping chloride into the water, which make them turn into lizardmen. Turns them into lizardmen, so they basically have to every so often eat. So the Scooby Gang have to come together to figure out what is making them do this, how do we stop it, who's controlling them. And I find it a really fun episode. It's kind of like a Creature of the Black Lagoon type lizard. It was so fun. I love that episode. I find it such a fun one as well. Okay, the first ever Halloween episode is next, which was in season 2 episode 6. I love this one so much because basically one of Giles's nemesis, oh my god, what was his name? I want to say Warren, but I don't think it's Warren. He basically sets a voodoo of sorts because he owns a costume shop, a Halloween costume shop, and everyone that wears his costumes turn into whatever their costume is, which is such a fun episode. Like, Buffy turns into a damsel in distress, Xander is a soldier that thinks he's like has to do his maneuvers to try and get around because there's like demons and vampires and ghouls everywhere. Poor Willow turns into a ghost, bless her, so I don't think many people see her because she's kind of invisible. And it is such a fun episode, and Spike, of course, is introduced into this season, and he's on the hunt for Buffy, and he thought this would be the perfect time with her being, again, powerless. He thought I'd be able to get this Slayer. He had 2 notches on his belt already, and he wanted another. And yeah, it's a really fun episode, I feel. It was good to see them out of their comfort zone with becoming something that essentially won't be able to survive in that situation, but do they? You'll have to see. But I'm sure you already have known. We then have Ted. Ted was such an amazing episode. That was season 2 episode 11. So Buffy's mum is divorced. You never see Buffy's dad, which I find very interesting, but we never, or did we? Maybe we saw him once, but it was like barely anything. And Joyce, of course, being the single lady she is, she meets this Ted. Is it too good to be true? And I find it quite a very realistic story of if your mum was going out with a new fellow, and then he seems to be very controlling. Turns out he's a robot. But it's such a good episode, very real. I feel there's a lot of times when I've really felt for Buffy because her mum wasn't listening to her in that situation, and as a daughter you're wanting to protect your mum, but if she's not listening, it's a very, very interesting one. And it's one of those that have stuck with me. I don't know why, but I remember that one so clearly. And the ones I remember clearly, the ones that you must obviously love. We then have Band Candy, season 3 episode 6. Band Candy was also such a fun episode because I want to say Warren again, but I still don't know if I'm right with saying that. Giles' nemesis makes a candy that makes adults turn back into their childlike selves, and it was so fun again to see, like, go back into their immature selves. It helps you to get like a better insight of who they've become now. And Skinner, oh my god, he was so funny in that, the principal. I loved Skinner. I find he was such, like, I wouldn't be able to be mad at him. I just loved how mean he was. Honestly, love Skinner. So that is honestly in my top 5 Bank Candy, honestly. We then have Living Conditions. This was season 4, episode 2. So Buffy's gone to college at this point, and she's got a roommate which she doesn't know quite well yet, and in this episode she gets to know her pretty well. But it was a very cool episode because it made me think, oh my god, if I go to uni, will this happen to me? She begins to hate her roommate, and they both do little things to spite each other. And imagine being stuck in that situation, even though you can't get out of it. How do you learn to live with it? And it was such a good episode of what they would do to wind each other up. And constantly, she was right with saying there was something not right with her, because she turned out to be a demon in the end. So it was such a good episode. I just love how they were winding each other up all the time. It was so good. Okay, we then have Beer Bad. This was in season 4, episode 5. You can tell how a lot of mine are more fun ones. Beer Bad, I love, like, every time I watch this, it makes me cry with laughter. I think whatever this bar is, they sell Pacific beer that turns men into cavemen. And of course, Buffy ends up drinking this one night. Oh my god, and it's the funniest thing ever. So they turn into the mindset of, like, a very dumb-minded caveman, so to speak, and it's so funny. It's such a classic. They just end up, honestly, if you haven't seen that one yet, you need to see this one. It was such a fun episode. Okay, we then have Fear Itself. This was in season 4, episode 4. This was another Halloween special. And constantly, it's like a college party, the biggest one to go to at this night. And because you dress up, luckily you stay who you are this time. But when they go inside this house, you go through a mansion which is got like a haunted house feel, which scare train, and they are meant to be like fake props. But at the top there's meant to be a nightclub, but on the nightclub floor they've put a satanic symbol on, not knowing as decoration that it turns whatever was in the house alive. So there's skeletons chasing them, there is stuff that comes back to life, and if you were in that situation you would be terrified. There's no way out, so Buffy and the Scooby Gang have to find a way to get up to the attic, find out what's causing it and shut it down. But it also is a really high one up there that I love. And also, if you guys watch it again, you might notice the house is very familiar, because it is the house that featured in American Horror Story season 1. The actual murder house is the house they used in this episode, and I also find that so iconic to know that house was there and they used that house for their episodes. I found that so cool. We then have Killed by Death. This was in season 2, episode 18. This was the standout one that used to scare me so much as a kid. It terrified me. So Buffy is essentially, she's had to go to hospital. I think a really bad fight went wrong, and she has hated hospitals ever since she was a kid, because she had a bad experience with one of her best friends that died in the hospital. But she doesn't know until she goes back and is stuck there for a while that her best friend didn't die by normal circumstances. There is something inside the hospital that is killing children, and she goes to find out what is doing it. But the thing is, the demon in it is so frightening beyond belief. It is something of nightmares, and I've forgotten what the name of it is, but oh my goodness, terrifying. And you guys will know it's essentially one of the scariest episodes. If you're wanting something scary for Halloween, watch that one again. We then have Buffy vs Dracula. I could not do a countdown without including this one. This was in season 5, episode 1, and it's the ultimate showdown between Buffy and Dracula. There's nothing more to say. It's just such a fun episode again. Have I said fun a lot in this? Because I feel like I have. But you just have so much fun watching it. I just can't. I can't help it. But with Buffy and vs Dracula, I read up that apparently Freddie Prinze Jr., her husband, was going to be, Sarah Michelle Gellar's husband was going to be Dracula, but I don't know what must have fell through. But that would have been awesome to see too. It would have been fun to see how they would have played against each other. The opposite spectrum. We then have The Body, which is season 6, episode 16. Now this is like the most emotional but realist episode of any TV show I ever watched. I believe this is one of the best. Like, it like brings tears to your eyes before it even starts. Essentially, again, I don't want to spoil this. Well, this is a bit of a spoiler, but again, just skip through this if you've carried on watching and you haven't seen it, but skip through this one because one of the main characters dies and I don't want to ruin it for you. But when Buffy's mum dies within this episode, it's something that's out of Buffy's control, with it being cancer. And I think that makes this more heart-wrenching because she tries everything to be able to revive her, but nothing seems to work. And it's like you're glued to the screen. It's like one of those things where you don't want to watch, but watch all the way through because it is so real. They, like, Sarah Michelle Gellar in that episode was such amazing acting. It is the realest thing I've ever seen them do within the show, and I feel with it being something that can happen to anyone makes it more scary that this could be something that could happen to anyone in any family. And this episode really like holds a very special place in my heart because I find it so just so real, and it takes the supernatural side out of this episode and bring like real life back into it. And it is truly a hard episode to watch, but an amazing episode to watch just for the acting within it. We then have another emotional one, which was The Gift, which is season 5, episode 22, the finale in the series. This was meant to be the finale of the whole of the Buffy franchise, but I don't know if the fans wanted it back, but somehow it came back for 2 more seasons. But the ending of season 5, I don't know what I'd do if that was the ending of the whole series. I don't know what I would do because it has such a heart-wrenching ending in terms of Buffy sacrifices herself from her family and her friends. You just wouldn't see that as being the end, you know what I mean? You think it is a memorable ending, but it's sad to think that she wouldn't continue doing it even if they finished the series, you know, to end it so suddenly like that. And it is also another amazing episode. This makes me cry every single time, truly, and makes Glory one of my arch nemesis. I really didn't like her as a villain, honestly, one of the evilest villains ever. We then have another in my top 5, Once More with Feeling, which is season 6, episode 7. This episode was a musical number within the whole of the episode because this demon makes people sing and dance, and I thought they did it so well. I couldn't understand how it would be so daunting doing something like this, like putting your heart into a song. And then even though you might not have any experience in it, they did it so well. I adore that episode. It's just like a Broadway show. It truly is. It was like, and it was just that they used original songs too. My hat's off to them. They did it so well. Like, you could easily use any song from any artist, but they decided to do their own, and I think that makes it even more special. And the dance numbers, and yeah, it's one of my absolute favourite episodes. I know it might not be some people's taste, but I love it. I love any musical. So we have number 5, which is Forever which is was the episode when they bring, well, Buffy's young sister tries to bring her back to life. I feel that when they try to bring Buffy's mum back to life, and it also is a very scary episode. It's like a paranormal movie within this one, because things are happening within the house which Buffy's sister believes it's her mum trying to get in contact, but it actually isn't. And it's all about sacrificing the thought of letting someone go, especially family. It is truly an amazing, heart-wrenching episode again, but it's so good. Like, it is a very scary episode, I have to say. Another good one if you wanted one for Halloween. Very good one. We then have the top 4. We then have the Prom, which was season 3 episode 20. So essentially the prom is happening. It's the last big thing at school before graduation, and basically Buffy wants to have a normal prom. She doesn't get to do much of a normal teenager, but of course it isn't that simple. So hellhounds are like a werewolf sort of thing, and they're starting to attack people that are even getting ready for prom or anything associated with it. And apparently it was someone at school that didn't have a very good time with bullies, and well, obviously goes through what a bully teenager would go through and thinks this is a way to get back at the people that did him wrong. So he uses hellhounds to get into prom, and it is honestly an amazing episode just for the little ending, because she thought she's kept it a secret for so long, but people with the whole of the year knew that she was like a hero. They knew something was right about Sunnydale. They always has been, and she gets an award for being the protector basically. And I find it so lovely that happened in that episode. I found it was so good that all the hard work paid off, and she got to have a special moment just for her that wasn't took away, so to speak. So that is a very, very special episode, I feel, especially because she does get to have a little bit of a lovely prom. We then have Showtime, which was season 7 episode 11. This is one of those episodes that I feel has the best fighting sequence in it. She always does amazing fighting sequences, but because it's one of the ultimate vampires, like I don't know if it was a really original, long time been here in this earth vampire. And she's teaching the Slayers on how to defeat it. She's tried 2 times before, they didn't go down so well, and this time she gives it the fight of her life. And the fact that they all have to fight these at the end was a very scary thought, because if one could do this much damage, how can a whole army of them do? And it has the most amazing fighting sequences, like I said, and it shows the strength of what Buffy was capable of and what she could do, and it helped give the Slayers a boost of sorts, because they were able to defeat it even though it took such amount of strength to do it. It is honestly like the biggest chase, and it's scary. It's scary to think something that unstoppable, can you beat it, you know? And it is a very interesting episode, I have to say. We then have the last 2. We have Passion. That is season 2 episode 17. The reason for this seems to be everyone's favourite, and I don't know if it's because it makes you think the stupid things that people do when they've been in love. I can see it, but this goes to the extreme of what can happen. But it was also very interesting to see Angel as a nemesis, and he played a very good nemesis at that, I have to say. Truly was. And the things he does to either provoke or anger Buffy in this episode is unreal, and the fact that he goes after her friends, huge no-no. And the infamous scene, I believe it was in this episode, where he gets Ginny, which I was so shocked when that happened. I couldn't believe that happened. It was very sad, especially for Giles. Felt so bad for Giles. And then number 1, this is also in my like top, of course, is Hush, which was in season 4 episode 10. Apparently the creator Josh Riordan said this was a dream I had and based it in the show, which I thought would be terrifying in a dream as well as in real life. And it was such a good, it was like if this was made into a movie, it would be such a good movie, this one. So she is in college at this point, and basically everyone wakes up on that day with no voice at all, but things are, well, people, well, what were they called? Something men. They come at night and take people's hearts, but they are able to take everyone's voice so no one hears them, which is so terrifying to think. If you can't make that noise, how are you going to be able to try and get help? And the gentlemen, yes, the gentlemen are a hugely scary Buffy villain, and it is such a good episode. It's also really good how they're able to tell the story, but there is only 14 minutes of dialogue in that whole episode, and that's scary. Well, it's like so clever how they've been able to portray everything in it with that much little dialogue, and it's one of the best episodes ever. And truly, you have your funny moments and you have your scary moments within this one, and yeah, this one really sticks in my mind as being one of my favourites, and really scary if that was to happen to any of us at any time. Truly would be a nightmare. So I really hope you really enjoyed my top 20 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I would love to know yours. If any of these are your favourite, I would love to know as well. I've also got my Sunnydale Slayers top on again because I adore it, and it helps me to think that I'll become a Slayer one day, which I think I am so weak I couldn't be able to do it. But hey, you can dream. But I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you tomorrow in another day of Halloween.